Hello friends, and welcome to Gardening with Creekside. It is an absolutely stunning day here in North Carolina. It is going to be 70 degrees today, but we still have snow on the ground. I don't know if you can see back there. You can tell where the sun doesn't hit. So we are preparing for spring because I have lived in North Carolina all of my life and I know how this goes. You get snow and then it literally turns to spring practically the next day. And we have got a lot to do in the garden before spring arrives. So that is what we're going to do today. If you want to know about some pruning, that is my main job today because 'tis the season for pruning in a full sun garden. That's the majority of what I have are full sun gardens. And so a lot of those plants will bloom on new growth. So we are going to prune some Spireas, the double play Doozie Spirea. We're going to prune the Rock Steady Vitex. Going to tell you all about this great Vitex, a chase tree. If you're especially in the south, the warmer zones, it will absolutely grow like in a zone 5. But it performs the best longevity-wise in the warmer zones. If you're not growing this and you've got a full sun spot, you need this plant. And then I am going to try my hand at pruning my autumn flame maple. That is right, this is it's a good sized tree already. She's probably at least 30 feet tall. But there's a little bit of pruning that I need to do some shape up on it. It's not absolutely necessary, but in my brain, that's what I want to do. So that is what we're going to do today. So join Brenna and I. We're going to have some fun here in the garden. So what you're going to need is you're going to need some pruners, whether those be hand pruners, electric pruners. I even have a little battery operated chainsaw that Jackson got me. So 'tis the season and the time to pull out the power tools if you have them. If you don't, you certainly do not need them. You can use a hand saw for the tree or just your regular good old Felcos, your hand pruners for the rest of the job. So what we're going to do first is the double play Doozie Spireas. If you're not pruning your Spireas, you're going to want to do that because you want the maximum amount of flowers. And in order to do that, you need to give them a little haircut every late winter. All right, my friends, so what we're going to do, we are going to go ahead and prune. I've got 3 of the double play Doozie Spireas right here. I personally adore double play Doozie Spireas because they're hardy in zones 3 to 8, even being an 8A. Mine are in full hot all day sun and do just phenomenally well. So if you're in a zone 8, you absolutely can grow these in the full hot sun. They'll get to be about a 3 foot by 3 foot, which we are there. These are definitely mature Spireas. They are reblooming. They are sterile, so that is a huge plus. For somebody like me in North Carolina, I don't worry about Spireas spreading. That's not an issue, but there are other parts of the country that they can be too happy, shall we say. But Doozie is a sterile variety, so you should be good to go on that. And they bloom on new growth, so that means you're going to have gorgeous flowers every single year. Well, what we need to do is go ahead and prune them. Because mine are mature, they are absolutely 3 feet tall, I can really be as severe as I want to be on these guys. And so I've got my electric hedge trimmers that I'm going to use. With these, you do not have to be so concerned about is where you cut like you do on a hydrangea. I'm literally going to turn these into meatballs. So even if I were using my hand pruners, I would just go in there and just be whacking and cutting them back. You just want an overall even shape on these guys. Your Doozies are going to be a beautiful, like a nice rich green with a little bit of like a kind of a burgundy hint to it. When they first start to flush out, they're a very vibrant, almost like a pinky red kind of color. And then your flowers are a raspberry color. Just great. Love them. So literally going to turn these into meatballs. And then the hardest part is the cleanup, and that is it. you go. The spireas have been pruned. Again, nothing fancy, y'all. Just go in there and just cut them. Nice little meatballs. Again, I probably cut them back by half, right about the same place that I cut them last year. So now we just wait. The only other thing that probably needs to be done is that they get a dose of a slow release fertilizer like Plant Tone. And then we're gonna mulch this bed at some point within the next couple of week or two, hopefully. And then boom, there you go. So your double play Doozie spireas, easy peasy. Now, moving on to the Rock Steady Vitex. So here you go. People ask all the time about us selling quart-size shrubs online. This plant, this Rock Steady Vitex that you see that is now every bit of 3 feet tall, 3 feet wide at the top, I got this from our online inventory a year and a half ago as a quart. It had just come out from Proven Winners, and that was the only way that I could get it. So in the summer of 24, I got a quart and I put it into a decorative planter, roughly the size like of maybe like a 5-gallon. And then I let it overwinter in that. And then last year, probably around this time, Jackson and I came and worked in this bed and he helped me plant it. So it went in the ground roughly right at a year ago, almost exactly. And y'all can see how much it absolutely grew. Now, the reason that you would want a Rock Steady Vitex over any other kind of Vitex, because there are tons of different cultivars out there. If you're not familiar, first of all, let's just talk about what it is. A Vitex, a chased tree. So before I knew that it was called a Vitex, I would see them, and they're here in the South because our growing season is so long and our winters are relatively mild. They will get to be a good size. Think a small tree, like a small crepe myrtle, not quite like a dogwood or a cherry. So just a multi-trunked small tree. It reminds me so much of like a butterfly bush tree in the fact of the blooms are somewhat similar. They are comparable to a butterfly bush. The pollinators go nuts over it. It's a nice kind of an icy blue purple. It's a horticultural blue, but a very nice kind of lavender purple color, has a nice fragrance to it. Like I said, your pollinators go nuts. So that is what a Vitex is. Rock Steady is different and unique compared to other cultivars in the fact of how long it blooms. Last year, I was absolutely blown away with this plant. The first summer, it did okay, like it flowered in the pot, right? But it was in a pot. When it got into the ground, oh my gosh, like it bloomed. And then I think if I remember correctly, it took maybe like a little time off, maybe like 2 weeks. And then it got like its second wind and it bloomed, I think for like 2 to 3 months. It just kept blooming and blooming and blooming. Unbelievably gorgeous. Also, as I just said, you know, so this was a quart-sized shrub a year and a half ago, and now it's a good size. I can't imagine what's going to do this year. Rock Steady in and of itself is a fast grower. So if you're in those colder zones, it's going to be like a really nice small to medium-sized shrub. I guess it just depends on how your winters are. But down here in the South, man, it's going to be a phenomenal one. Now, I do want it to be a tree, not a shrub. So I have to train it to be a tree. So what I did last year at the end of the growing season is I did one little prune on the bottom. Let me show you what that was and then what I'm going to do today. If you did not prune this, you would have foliage and limbs all the way down to the ground and on the bottom. So I think maybe you can see on the trunks, like where I pruned it last year. So these little nodules right here, this is what I pruned, and then you can see where I got even more growth coming out. So today, all these little shoots I'm going to cut off all the way up. So now I basically have 4 good stems that are going to be my main trunk. So you kind of have to decide what are your trunks going to be, right? So what are you going to have? So thinking that this is going to be my main trunk coming up, well, I'm probably going to go ahead and take off this little limb right here, and then maybe even this guy right here. This is where it's kind of the game time decision. And I might just leave this one, you know, because it's a pretty long one, so I might go ahead and leave that. But on the inside, like this guy right here, I'm going to go ahead and take him off because I know that he could absolutely start to rub on somebody else. So basically I'm going to come in and thin out the little guys, and then up on the top, all of that is going to get cut as well. Now this is similar in the fact of like a hydrangea where you can see the little leaf swells. So right here, I can see where it has those little swollen nodules. So when I prune right there, right above it, then I'm going to get 2 stems on it. So like you can see right here, this had been pruned. I guess I did that. I don't really remember. So I did that because certainly that wouldn't have been as a quart. And then I got 2 nice big branches. So I will, because this is a fast grower and I want it to be nice and bushy, then I'll probably, looking at a stem's length, probably come back by like half of that stem and then go ahead and prune it. So I'm going to set the camera up and just let you watch me, and then we'll meet back here once it's all said and done. Rocksteady has been pruned. Now, I think I did a pretty darn good job. I will say that it was interesting because in a lot of the stems here in the middle where you had 2 stems coming out, there was a lot of them that had growth coming out right here in the center. So I did all of those and got rid of all of those. And then any of the little tiny little very baby stems that were coming off the side of the main trunks that I want to keep. So got rid of all of those. So you can see every single limb that I had has been pruned in some shape, fashion, or form. Now, I was talking about maybe getting rid of this limb that's really coming out right here. And I may, but you know what? There is plenty of time to decide that. When you have a very young tree, which is what I would consider this, right? 1.5 years that I've had it, I'm thinking long term, it is quite young. I'm not sure exactly how the form's going to take place. I can always prune more off, but I can't put growth back on. So I would be more conservative than aggressive when they are this young. If this were a mature Vitex and it was nice and big and I really wanted to prune it back, then I would be much more aggressive. Here, I'm going to be a little bit more conservative, but I have no doubt she is going to be gorgeous this summer. All right, let's move on to the maple tree, the big boy. Here on the back side, closer, we're moving towards the front, right? And so I have this autumn flame maple. Now, I don't know, maybe it is just me, but through looking the lens of the camera, it looks like the autumn flame up at the top is taking on a reddish hue. Autumn flame is that classic gorgeous shade tree that you buy and you put in your landscape because you want shade and you want the gorgeous fall foliage on it. Autumn flame absolutely lives up to its name. We have had it in this backyard probably, I don't know, at least 5 years, probably 6 years. My uncle has a huge wholesale tree farm down outside of Orangeburg, South Carolina, and we went and got this from him and planted it in the backyard. So this is my Uncle Tommy's tree. And so the only thing that I have ever done to this autumn flame is that as it was growing, and this has just been maybe, I only did it maybe once or twice, it was, of course, any of the limbs down here that I would prune up. Now, after doing some reading and some research and the fact that I want to have the shade tree Absolutely. But I also don't want it to completely block out all of my sun. So I know that sounds like a contradiction when you say I want shade, but also want some sun. Well, you know, welcome to a gardener's world. We just want it all, don't we? So looking at like when to trim a maple tree, Professor Google has told me coming out of winter, going into spring. So that is like the perfect time to do it. Now, what am I pruning? I am going to be pruning the limbs that are horizontal. My vertical limbs, I am leaving alone. And y'all, I'm not going up very high. Like I got a 6-foot ladder and I'm 5 feet tall. I am not going up that high. I am just going around the lower part of the tree to take off those branches that are going horizontal. Couple of reasons. Yes, I want to have more sun right here. I've got a rose. This is the Julia Child rose. I've got grasses right here. So when the sun sets back over here, I want the sun to come under the tree, but still get the beautiful shade from the top. I know. It works. It's going to work, people. I promise. So this is what we're going to do. Let me show you up close those branches that I'm talking about. This limb is a perfect example of what I am talking about. So what I am going to attempt to do is take off this limb right here and this limb right here because they are going out, right? But then the main limb is going straight up, so it's vertical. So obviously I've got to take off all of my little yard art, my bird feeder, take those off, and then I'm going to prune those. So another one is what I have my little wind chime on. So you can see how that branch is going out completely horizontal. I'm going to take that. Basically, it's all the limbs that I have my all of my little yard art on. And so then like right here, this one straight across horizontal is going to come out. Yeah, that's what we're going to do. And I am going to use my little handy dandy handheld chainsaw that Jackson got me. This is a Stihl electric. It's the GTA 26 little hand chainsaw. And y'all, this thing works great. So I don't think we'll have a problem cutting those limbs. Time will tell, right? And so we're going to use that. Of course, I have got my ladder. And then last time I used my little chainsaw, one of you sweet people you were being a mama to me. And you told me, you were like, Jenny, you need to have eye protection on because I think maybe you've had one of these. And you're like, it'll send up sawdust and get into your eye. And you were right. So I have my eye protection because I have noticed like with the handheld trimmer, like it doesn't sling debris. But the little chainsaw, because, you know, obviously chainsaws and hand trimmers are very different in how they cut. And so I did get some bigger chunks. So I could see absolutely how that could get in my eye. So I have my eye protection. I will put it on. So I'm just going to set the camera up and we're just going to figure this out together, y'all. It's just something I want to do. So that's what we're going to do. All right, y'all, I think I did pretty good. I still have all my digits and my eyeballs, and so we are good. And yeah, now it was nothing dramatic, nothing crazy. I'm sure you could prune a whole lot more off of it if you wanted to, but I really don't want to. I'm just trying to limit up, right? So that we don't have all these horizontal limbs coming out and give a little bit more light underneath the tree. Again, nothing dramatic. If you hadn't seen the tree beforehand, you probably wouldn't even know that I pruned it. And to me, that's the sign of a good pruning job. Let me show you. There you go. Now I did get my bird feeder hung back up. My other two decorations, I'll have to do a little finagling because the hooks that I had them on will no longer work with the branches that I have. Now, as we get closer, you may be able to see, and this kind of, for a second, I was like, oh no. Can you see the water dripping? So basically, this is what is called the tree is bleeding. Um, and I think this is just rolling down right here. But you can see that it's just literal water. I'm sure it is a little bit sappy, but what's happening is this is a completely normal thing because of the high internal water pressure during the late winter, early spring. And it happens because the tree is actively transporting nutrients to the buds before the leaves emerge. And so it will stop. So the very first cut that I made already has stopped, quote, bleeding. And then when we come in here and look at the tips of the tree, they have a completely different color to them. So they have that reddish brown hue. Then you come back here and it's a little bit of a darker brown. This has a red. And on the very tips, you can start to see where those little buds are forming. The maples are always one of the very first ones to kind of bud out. And so like you can really see it, maybe if the camera will focus on this one. And so definitely starting to get some movement. So that means it's spring, it's on its way. I will still have plenty of shade on my maple tree, but it has been driving me crazy. Those limbs have been coming more out. Don't ask me why, it just does. You know, sometimes there are things in your garden that just kind of get on your nerves or irk you, or so ever since the summer, I've been wanting to do this. But every time I look to see when the best time to prune a maple, it said late winter, early spring. Here we are, finally got it done. So it has been a good day in the garden here in the afternoon, wrapping it all up, got my pruning in. There's still a lot to be done, but that's all right. That is the fun part of gardening. And so now we can just kind of tinker and piddle and just have some fun being out in the sunshine and warmer days. I will say I actually got a little bit of a sweat on. You know, gardener to gardener, you'll understand, but yeah, it's gonna be 70. If it's not already 70 right now, and in the sun we have blue jeans and I had a sweatshirt on and I was like, oh my word, just wasn't prepared for this. But I am not complaining. Like, no, this is fantastic. This is great. 70 degrees, but we still have snow on the ground. I mean, dear heavens. All right, y'all. As always, we hope you found this fun, informative, inspirational. Y'all have a great day. We'll see you in the next video. Bye, friends.